night, and I get to talk football. God, what a great life. What a great life. Really good Thursday night game. I wish I would have talked about this Tuesday, but Heisman ceremony Saturday, and I'm actually going to lead off with the Heisman ceremony. Perry, man, I'm doing great, man. I'm a little worn down. I had 2 energy drinks earlier. Tried to take a nap, but after 2 energy drinks, it's hard to do. And I'm jacked up. I'm jacked up about a great slate of games. I'm excited about the fact that next Tuesday I'm going to have 3 guests. One Pride said he's going to be here and he's going to be on time. I got Keys and I got TPT for the first time. So it's going to be a foursome Tuesday. So don't miss Tuesday's show. Also, if you haven't had a chance yet, check out my weekly picks video. It's fantastic. Oh, man, I got the talent in the house. Gooch! Yes, Justin Ross is back. He's going to miss 6 games. The games that he missed while he's on the exempt list, and he's going to miss the Bills game. Litany of injuries for the Chiefs against the Bills. And I saw some really messed up posts from Bills Mafia, which is honestly not a bad fan base. The table jumping thing's beyond stupid, but some messed up stuff I saw from Bills Mafia. Some really messed up stuff. With Pacheco's going to be out. There's a few other players that are questionable. I'm going to get everything ironed up before I do the live stream. I don't have the live stream set up yet. Should have, but I don't. Do I dare sound a triumphant return trumpets? There's a lot of teams that added a player late in the season that elevates the team. You've seen this all the time. The Rams, remember they traded a second and third for Von Miller. That helped get them over the edge. The Chiefs, I remember signing Melvin Ingram, and it just elevated the team's defense. When they won a Super Bowl against the 49ers, they signed God, I'm not even 4 minutes into the show, and Terrell Suggs, I already had a name freeze 4 minutes into the show. How bad is that? The Bills will fall back to a crap team. Yeah, I think so. I think they lose this game. I think they go 6-7, and I think there's going to be at least one AFC team at 10-7 who's on the outside looking in. The good news is for the Bills is that the AFC North is really beating up each other. There's a chance that those teams beat up each other, and that maybe a 10-7 team gets in. But I think they lose against the Chiefs. I know they're fresh off a bye. I know Von Miller is going to play despite the legal issues. I don't want to go into that till I know a little more detail, but bottom line, he's going to play. But yeah, I agree. I think they lose this game. I think they're 6-7, and it wouldn't surprise me if McDermott is gone after this year. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Before I talk about Thursday night football, the Heisman Trophy, it's one of the few trophies that awards that I really, 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 really pay attention to. And it's Saturday, and I was really surprised. I don't normally want to promote ESPN. I'm not going to show you the sheet, but I was floored when I saw this. Here's who they have winning. They have Jalen Daniels, who Jaden. I gotta get that name right, man. All right, so they have Jaden Daniels, Penix Jr., Nix, Milroe, and Marvin Harrison Jr. at 5. Jaden Daniels is going to win the Heisman Trophy. Let's be very clear about this. He is going to win. I think he's going to win by a large margin. If I had to vote, I would vote Harrison, then Daniels, then Nix, then Penix, and they have Milroe, and I know Gooch hates the fact that An Alabama quarterback is mentioned at 4th on the Heisman list, especially when I got benched. But I probably wouldn't put him in there, but I didn't watch enough college football to give you an accurate description. But those would be my 4. I don't know who would be 5. Rome, and I got to get the name right too, Oku, the wide receiver out of Washington. I am developing a massive man crush on that Washington wide receiver. He's going to go high in the draft. He's going to be an excellent. It wouldn't surprise me if he has a better career than Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he's going to be special. Funk! Most teams are beat up this time of the year. Lions are out. Ragno and McNeil this week, and Alex will be back with screwing his thumb to hold it in place. Well, it's good that you get Anzalone back. It's a little different because there was like 13 players on the injury report and like 4 or 5 got injured against the Packers. It's a little unusual, but most of those guys are going to play. Isaiah Pacheco over the last couple of weeks, even though they've been losses, has played really well. I know you love the way he runs, but him being out is interesting because CEH has never lived up to the hype. Remember, I wanted Swift. CEH is going to get a chance because he's playing for a contract. Gerald McKinnon, the other running back, I don't know if he's going to play or not. That's another thing. So, I mean, we may be out 2 running backs, which the Chiefs have really done a good job running the ball lately. And, of course, our receivers are having problems catching anything at all. But, yeah, all teams are a little beat up. All teams are a little. Buffalo is a very beat up team too. So I mean, I'm not going to use injuries as an excuse, but the Pacheco injury was kind of crushing because he's really been playing well, and I like the fact that Chiefs have been running the ball a little more. I didn't check the weather report, but I mean, Buffalo, December, you never know what's going to go on. You're always better off having a good ground game. I do like the Chiefs' offensive line against the Bills' defensive line, so I do think the Chiefs win that game. I'm sorry, the game's at Arrowhead. It's actually, when I started the show, it was raining. It literally just stopped, and the weather should be surprisingly nice. The weather should be surprisingly nice for Sunday. So yeah, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. It's a little different, this week. They just had multiple starters go out, but I don't think it will affect this game or this outcome. And I hope I see you in the comments Sunday afternoon, because your Lions are playing early against the Bears, and hopefully you are going to come in and talk a lot of trash about how great your Lions played, which I'm going to go over shortly. But before I do that, I want to talk about Thursday night football and what was really a fun game. And one thing is that the whole time I'm watching this, I kept on thinking, how lucky am I to watch Brady versus Roethlisberger and some of those Steelers-Patriots games. Those are some of the greatest games you'll ever see in your life. And I got to see those. And keep in mind, Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown are not going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. They probably will not get there. But when they were with Pittsburgh, they were Hall of Fame caliber players. And I know Le'Veon Bell, I don't think he's ever said it publicly, but I know that he probably wishes he just would have stayed in Pittsburgh. I don't care what he said after the Jets contract and the guaranteed money and all that. He left money on the table. He should have just stayed in Pittsburgh. I think Antonio Brown, Antonio Brown to me is so sad, because every wide receiver coach to start training camp should talk about Antonio Brown. And if you don't know Antonio Brown's story, 6th-round pick out of Central Michigan. The Steelers brought him in to be a punt returner only. They gave Mike Wallace, a former 4th-round pick, a guy who had great deep speed, pretty good wide receiver. They gave him a lot of money. I believe at the time they had Plaxico Burress, who was a former first-round draft pick. They had some really good receivers. They really didn't need a receiver. They didn't even want him to be a receiver. And all he did was outwork everybody. That's all he did. He just outworked everybody and just earned his way. He just constantly made plays. He returned punts. He did everything right, and finally earned his way into a starting spot and played lights out. And you're not going to hear about all this, and it should be one of the greatest stories in sports. A 6th-round draft pick who the Steelers didn't even want him to be a receiver. They drafted him just to be a punt returner. That was it. Like, hey, look, you're going to return punts. We're set at receiver, and he goes to a loaded wide receiver team, a team loaded with wide receivers, and earns a starting job. It's such a great story. You're never, when you say Antonio Brown, you don't think that. You think, well, all the jackass stuff he did off the field. Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, while they're with the Steelers, were Hall of Fame caliber players, and going against Brady and Belichick, those were some of the best games I've seen. And I kept on reminiscing about how great that was. That Thursday night game was also really key because I noticed Belichick stayed true to himself. Defense, field position, special teams. For those of you who don't know, Belichick came up in the NFL as a special teams coach. So you have a guy that relied on his defense and special teams. And there was a lot of situations where the analytics tell you to go for it. Belichick punted, relied on his special teams, relied on his defense. Remember, he did have a blocked punt, which is very unusual for a Patriots team, but it's an unusual year for the Patriots. They went for it on 4th down early in the game. I think it was second quarter, and they failed. And that put the Patriots up. It put them in a position to it was one of their touchdowns. From what I've seen so far, Zappe is a better quarterback than Mac Jones, but neither one of them are a starting caliber quarterback. But I really, really liked how Belichick outcoached Tomlin. And it was funny. I think Tomlin was affected by the boos. And I think he took some unnecessary risks, some chances he normally wouldn't take. But I think he felt the boos. I think he was trying to protect Trubisky. I don't think he wanted to put in Mason Rudolph. I don't get it because I was always a big Mason Rudolph fan. I really loved him coming out of Oklahoma State. I don't know why things haven't panned out for him. He's a guy that he's a guy that probably should just leave Pittsburgh, to be honest with you, and take a look at Josh Dobbs. He left, and I mean, kind of a weird path, going to, I think, 4 other teams before he gets a starting opportunity with the Vikings. But Mason Rudolph, he might want to go somewhere else to be a backup. Trubisky, I'm embarrassed to admit this, I wanted Trubisky over Mahomes. They came out in the same draft. Mahomes went 10th. Trubisky went 2nd. I loved Trubisky coming out of North Carolina. I loved everything about him. He had really good arm talent. It was funny because coming into the draft, he's not going to be as big. He's not going to run as fast. And he was 6'2", about 230, ran the 4.6. I remember the Gruden grinder. He brought a notebook and he took like 3 times as many notes as everybody else. But I also remember John Gruden saying, the quarterback that you want is Patrick Mahomes. And he just kept on raving about Patrick Mahomes. And that's when I started because I was not a Mahomes fan coming out of Texas Tech. System, quarterback, never worked before, played in that run and shoot offense. Footwork was terrible. Mechanics were bad. Played hero ball way too much. Went in the right situation. I think Trubisky would have had success in the NFL, but not MVP caliber success. If he would have went to Kansas City, sat behind Alex Smith for a year, I think he would be a really good quarterback. I think he might be a top 10 to 15 quarterback. Maybe top 10. Maybe. He looked so bad at Pittsburgh. It was just embarrassing. It was just embarrassing. But Pittsburgh, they got to figure out what to do. 2 losses against a pair of 2-win teams in November and December is not good. We talked about a team being a 10-win team missing the playoffs. It could be a Steelers, and Steelers may not even get to 10. So we're going to find out. Really? So Funk says, I had my Lions losing this game all year. I do like golf in games that have wind. Outside in Chicago in December just screams. Oh, okay. So he says he didn't like golf and bad weather games. And here's a drill. The biggest winner of Steelers Patriots was actually the Bears, because they've basically locked up the number 1 pick in the draft. So for the next couple of weeks, it's Justin Fields' job. And I'll be honest, I don't think the head coach is coming back. I don't think general manager is coming back. There's some weirdness going on with Jim Harbaugh in Michigan. Michigan tried to re-sign him to a contract. Harbaugh didn't go for it. I mean, this has been the Harbaugh Michigan thing's been going on. Every bowl season, there's a issue with Jim Harbaugh and the contract. It's been this way for the last couple of years. It was this way 4 years ago when he lost to Ohio State several years in a row, and he finally beats Ohio State, and he beats them again, and he beats them again. Of course, that's a weird scandal thing. I really think Harbaugh is going to end up being the next head coach of the Chicago Bears. I really believe that. And you may have the number 1 pick in the draft. Do you take Justin Fields or do you go Caleb Williams? And by the way, he knows Caleb Williams. He has a relationship with Caleb Williams. I don't know how close they are or how much he likes them, but it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun because the Bears are going to end up, win or lose this game, doesn't matter. They pretty much locked up that number 1 pick, and there's going to be a lot of Caleb Williams hype. I guarantee it. And hopefully it's by the Bears, who I would not be surprised if they trade that pick and stay with Justin Fields. We're going to find out. Yeah, Perry speaking facts here. Antonio Brown would have been Hall of Famer if he just played football. God, he was putting up numbers nobody's ever seen. It was just crazy. And for whatever reason, he couldn't see eye to eye with Tomlin. And it was that. I remember the Hard Knocks thing. I couldn't figure it out at all because he looked happy. Gruden went out of his way to do everything possible. By the way, if you want to see something weird, go watch that Hard Knocks with Antonio Brown. It was really weird. He did this weird foot treatment. He got frostbite. He couldn't practice. His feet were all fucked up, and for whatever reason, I don't get it because Gruden had his guys, and he had guys he didn't like. And he loved Antonio Brown. He tried. That was his number 1 goal of taking over the Raiders is I got to get Antonio Brown. And that I don't know why that didn't work. And it was really weird because the day that the Raiders released him or cut him or whatever the hell happened, he was celebrating, and it didn't make any damn sense. It didn't make any sense. If he would have stayed in Pittsburgh, he would be a first ballot Hall of Famer, not just a Hall of Famer. He would be a first ballot. We would be. Here's a drill. I haven't done it yet, and I may not. Top 10 wide receivers of all time. Antonio Brown stays in Pittsburgh. I might be talking about Antonio Brown as one of the top 10 receivers in NFL history. Top 10 receivers in NFL history so hard. Where do you put somebody like Don Hudson, Raymond Berry, Steve Largent, Bambi? There's so many great receivers that played in a different type of era. But I really do. I top 10 of all time. He would beat out multiple Hall of Famers if he stayed in Pittsburgh. And remember, Roethlisberger outlasted what a lot of people. He kept on playing. He kept on drafting quarterbacks to replace him, and he just kept on playing and playing and playing. Antonio Brown, he would have a great career. Should have just stayed in Pittsburgh. He's done so many goofy things. It's hard to imagine what's going on in his head. Brown didn't turn into a Looney Tune into Burset. Yeah, I know it. Vontaze Burset. By the way, that's another guy I absolutely loved. A great story about him. Pac-10 Player of the Year, gets kicked off the team. Undrafted rookie free agent, wins a starting job under Marvin Lewis, plays lights out for a couple of years. Really, really good player. Really, really good player. Yeah, I really believe there's some issues. I think Antonio Brown just suffered some sort of like head related injury. I mean, his behavior is so bizarre. It's really a shame. It's really a shame. It wouldn't surprise me like 10, 15 years from now, we hear like Antonio Brown did something outrageous and doing like 10 years in jail or something. I mean, it really wouldn't surprise me. Like, I know that like he was behind on child support or something like that. It was really weird. Sad story for a guy that I'll be honest with you. If I'm an NFL wide receiver coach, I talk about Antonio Brown the very first day of rookie training camp. I talk about him and I lecture every single rookie wide receiver in my rookie mini camp. The very first one, like the very first rookie OTAs in that receiving room, because usually I know the Chiefs, and I think most NFL teams do this, they'll bring in something like, 13, 14. I know the Chiefs brought in like 14 or 15 guys. And, I think they kept 6 or 7. I don't remember. I think 7, but I mean, they cut over half. Patrick Mahomes' best friend, Gertrude Dieter, something like that. I remember he retired, like he was like 25, 26, something like that. Yeah, but I would talk about Antonio Brown. I've said this many times, but yeah, there's so much talent. Yeah, I think there is. It's going to be a fun game, man. It's going to be a fun game. The line didn't change, and I'm going to talk about that here in a bit. But I like the Lions to win a close one. I really do. Perry, if you haven't already, excuse me. In the description below is my picks video. Check it out. But a spoiler, I picked the Lions. I don't blame Harbaugh. I really do. I think he's going to be the next head coach of Chicago, and I think it's a good situation because you're going to have the number 1 pick in the draft. If the draft was today, let me see if I have it up here. If the draft was say they'd pick 1, and let me refresh just to make sure that's right. It's 1 and 8. It's 1 and 8. Well, I'm sorry. I'm having some technical difficulties with my computer right before I came on. It's doing some weird stuff, but let me try to refresh here. Yeah, 1 and 8. Now they don't have a second round pick. That goes to Washington. It's kind of interesting because Washington picks 39 and 40, and that's going to be interesting. They also pick 7th overall, and there's a lot of talk about Washington not being completely sold on Sam Howell, which I think would be a mistake. But yeah, I think the Chicago Bears job would be a great job. First and 8th pick in the draft. So if you like Fields, you could trade that number 1 pick for an arm and a leg. If you like Caleb Williams, and he does have a relationship with this kid, you could get something for Fields. Trey Lance went for a 4th. If I'm the New York Giants, and like right now the Giants are I wonder if this is right because it says New England's picking 2nd and the Giants are picking 4th. I wonder if this has been updated. It may not be. But like let's say Giants pick 4th. If I'm the New York Giants, I might trade for Fields. I seriously. Perry says CBS. I'll say one thing. I'm not a fan of the CBS draft, but I haven't done a mock draft yet, so I'm not going to. I'm not going to blast them too much, but I don't really hold that particular. I'll take a look at it, but I haven't yet. CBS Sports Line's not a mock draft source that I've found overly credible over the years. There's a few draft sources. There was something called the Draft Network that I used to love. They changed it up where you got to pay like a monthly fee now just to even look at their site. It's really stupid. It used to be they had a lot of really cool free tools and a lot of cool tools in their mock draft that you pay for. And there was one last year. I can't remember what it was. I found late, and it was amazing. It was great. You could do trades, and they had like projected trades. It was really cool. I wish I saved it because it was pretty cool. But yeah, the Bears job's a good job. It really is, and you still you got the number 1 pick overall and a top 10 pick. So I hope the Bears don't double down with first round wide receivers, Harrison Jr. and Neighbors together with Moore could instantly be, seriously, you're not wrong. I don't think Neighbors, I need to look at them more, Funk, in all fairness. Look, I would do this. If I'm picking number 1 and I don't get a trade that blows me away, I would take Marvin Harrison Jr. And I only do that if I'm convinced I can do something with Justin Fields. And by the way, you could draft a quarterback next year. There's always going to be a quarterback you can draft. The only time there hasn't been is the Geno Smith draft when the Chiefs had the number 1 pick in the draft in 2013. And I'm going to tell you this right now, Funk, people are going to deny it, but like over 60% of Chiefs fans wanted Geno Smith number 1. It was at least 60. It was probably closer to 70 or 80. There were so many people that wanted Geno Smith. They were like, you got to take the best quarterback in the draft, Geno Smith. And I was like, do not take Geno Smith. Do not take this guy. Do you think Frank R get fired from the Panthers? Maybe Harbaugh goes there. It's a possibility. I don't see it myself, and the reason why is Harbaugh was kind of a big dude, and I look at the receivers, the quarterbacks he's always had at Michigan, except for Denard Robinson back in the. You know what? I'm trying to think here. Denard Robinson, I don't know if he was a Jim Harbaugh quarterback or not. I think he was. And then his senior year, he got switched to running back. So I don't see it myself. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Carolina's spending money like water. I mean, they gave Matt Rule like a 7-year, $60.5 million contract, and he's still getting like crazy money plus the Nebraska money. Yeah, he's doing good. Frank Wright is getting a lot of money, and he could go back. And I don't know if he has any interest in coaching college, but he could definitely go back into the NFL as an offensive coordinator. It wouldn't surprise me if he ends up back in Philly. I don't see Harbaugh going to Carolina myself. It wouldn't surprise me if Bill Belichick steps down, if Bill O'Brien, who coached Bryce Young at Alabama, goes there and brings Josh McDaniels to Carolina. And that's only if Bill Belichick goes away. I could see that happening. So I don't see Harbaugh going to Carolina. I really don't. I could see Harbaugh going to the Chargers. I could see that. I really could see that. But here, I don't see it. Perry, no one will want that job. The owner is too involved and you don't have draft capital. It's hard. So actually, so here's the drill. They do have some draft capital. They just don't have a first. So they have, I'm pulling it up. Oh, you know what? I thought it was more. Okay, you're right. They have a second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. They have 5 draft picks. The 33rd pick in the draft is pretty interesting because you should be able to get a first round caliber player. There's going to be a team that because here's the drill. There was a lot of people thought Bryce Young was the best quarterback in the draft. I had CJ Stroud as one, but I don't think Bryce Young is a terrible option. I just think CJ Stroud was better. I really believe that. But I don't think it's a terrible thing. I don't think it's as bad as a job because here's the deal. The division's weak. You got a quarterback. I have no idea why the defense is so bad. But that's going to be I'll tell you what, I really believe the Raiders are going to keep Antonio Pierce. I believe that. But if Antonio Pierce is gone, I would rather take the Raiders job than the Panthers job. And those are the only 2 that are open right now, unless I forgot about something. I think the Chargers job is going to be open. We're going to have a Black Monday show, but it's not terrible. But you gotta love Bryce Young. You gotta love Bryce Young. But that division is not a good division. And then you also have draft capital next year. And keep in mind, you don't have to have a winning record, but you got to win more than one game. So out of the two jobs that are available, it's easily the worst one. Easily. And Perry's talking about Antonio Brown, who I just ranted on. CBS had the Bears trading Fields. Yeah. I think they can get second round pick for Fields. I'm looking at the draft right now. I'm looking at the Giants at 54 because the Giants make a lot of sense because Brian Dable turned Josh Allen completely around. And if I had to compare, I don't like doing comparisons, and they're different. But if you have to compare Fields to anybody, it would be Josh Allen. It really would. And the 54, I'll be honest, I think it's a little rich. I think a third round pick is where it's going to end up. And I think bottom of the third round. But I'm looking at the 54th pick in the draft. If I'm the New York Giants, because you pick fourth, you pick 36, you have the 54th pick. That kind of makes sense. You have to move on from Daniel Jones, and you'll probably eat some of that contract. That becomes a whole issue. But the Giants, which pick fourth right now, I'd be shocked if they didn't. To tell you the truth, I could see the Giants trying to trade up with Chicago. So, yeah, I agree, Perry. Perry says the Bears need a good GM as well. I completely agree. I really believe that. I think after a season, I think the Bears are going to get a new general manager, new head coach, and I think they're going to hire Harbaugh, or at least offer Harbaugh the job, and they're going to let Harbaugh bring in a general manager, but Harbaugh's going to have player control. So I do too. Funk says, I think Fields would make a pretty nice wide receiver, to be honest. Seriously, I honestly think he'd be a good running back. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. 30 years ago, the NFL would have made him a running back. He's 6'2", he's 230, he's got 4.4 speed. There was a lot of quarterbacks that were like Justin Fields coming out of college that got switched running back. I'm referring to Scott Frost. Excuse me, but he got moved to safety. Remember Denard Robinson I talked about earlier? Harbaugh moved him to running back, and that was to get him an opportunity to, better draft position. I don't know about I'm telling you right now, I think he'd be a great running back. If I'm Chicago, you got to figure it out. But I like the fact that if they bring in Harbaugh, you let Harbaugh, and it'd be kind of fun, to be honest with you, Harbaugh bringing in an Ohio State quarterback and drafting Marvin Harrison Jr. number 1. So, Kevin, what's up, brother? What's up, brother, man? I think you've been in before. I'll be honest with you, Kevin, man. It's been a rough week, so I think you've been in before. But if you haven't, hit the subscribe button. Yes, and I'm going to talk about that. I haven't had a chance to break down the games, but matter of fact, that game is something I do want to go over in detail. You know what? Let's do this. Yeah, you're in last week. Okay. Now I'm sorry. This week's been a tough week for me, Kevin. This week's just been a tough week. Let's start off. Let's start off with Jacksonville, Cleveland, because this is a game I want to go into some detail, because Cleveland opened up as a 2-point favorite. They're now a 3-point favorite. And here's what's messed up is that people are betting on Cleveland, even though Trevor Lawrence is playing, but nobody knows who's going to be the starting quarterback in Cleveland. They don't know if Dorian Thompson-Robinson or Joe Flacco. I don't get what the betting public here thinks. And I understand Trevor Lawrence, a big part of his game's running. A big part of his game's running. I also know that they got embarrassed on Monday night. The defense is better. I don't buy Jake Browning is good. And I kind of joked around, but Keys Tuesday, I went on a show and I typed it in. I got caught up, so I wasn't able to hit send. But He said that maybe Burrow's a system quarterback. I think he's second best quarterback in football, but I think Jake Browning just had one of those days. I have Jacksonville winning this game. I'm not buying into Cleveland. I don't know what the general betting public is thinking with Trevor Lawrence coming back at 70%. I 100% believe that him at 70% is the number one option. You are in, actually, even at 8-4, you're still in great shape to win the 1 seed. And both the Colts and Texans are 7-5, so you got to win this game. Joe Flacco, I didn't watch the game against the Rams. I'm looking at 13 points. I mean, I know Aaron Donald got a safety in the game. I know Aaron Donald's making an argument to be the greatest defensive lineman of all time, at least defensive tackle. He's making that argument. I don't see how Jacksonville doesn't win this game. I understand it's in Cleveland. The weather may be bad. I did not check the weather report. You got Trevor Lawrence against either a 5th round pick who looked really, really good in preseason. And by the way, I love DTR at UCLA. A lot of fun to watch. I wasn't sold on him. He was the story of preseason. This is why you watch preseason. You get a guy like DTR, comes into preseason, plays phenomenal. Yeah, Trevor's going to play. And I really don't understand why the betting public is going against Jacksonville. The line went from 2 to 3. I don't get it. That's the game that really didn't make a lot of sense to me. So, yeah. Great comment. Atlanta is only a quarterback away from being a really nice team, maybe a few pieces on defense, but the offense only needs a quarterback if they get one. Oh, absolutely. They may win the division this year. They play Tampa Bay. If they beat Tampa Bay, they'll be 7-5 and they'll be in pretty good shape. And they play the Saints again. Yeah, Atlanta needs a quarterback bad. So it's kind of funny because Atlanta, to be perfectly honest, Atlanta's a team. You remember Tank for Tua. Atlanta right now is going to pick 15th, and I'm looking here. Why are they picking? Okay, yeah, they're picking. Who do they have winning this division? Okay, they got Atlanta win. That can't be right that they have Atlanta picking 15th, but let's just go with it. Okay. You're going to have to trade up to get the quarterback that you want. Losing the division would almost be the best thing for this team because they really need the quarterback. And I think that they would love to trade up, and they may have to give up some players. Somebody like Kyle Pitts makes a lot of sense. They got some good pieces on the offensive line. I know they don't want to, but John Robinson has a lot of value. Yeah, Kevin, I'm sorry, man. I don't know if we touched base on that on Tuesday's show or not, but on my picks video, I picked Jacksonville. So make sure you watch my picks video. I'm flying, but if you can watch my picks video, on my picks video, I put that he's probably going to play, but the quarterback situation in Cleveland, don't get me wrong, Cleveland's defense is amazing, and Jacksonville, if their defense, and I really think their defense, oh, you did? Okay, awesome. Yeah, you just went against my advice. That's okay. Kevin, the one thing about this YouTube channel is that I encourage people to disagree with me. I do not like to argue, but this is never going to be a channel that's going to be an echo chamber. It's never going to be you have to agree with me. There's a lot of channels I follow outside of football where you have to agree with whatever the host says, and if you don't, you just get made fun of. I despise PFF because I tried to argue. The argument was during Saquon Barkley in the draft, and he's like, you cannot give me one good reason why you draft a running back with a top 5 pick. And I said, well, the 4th pick in the draft was Ezekiel Elliott, and you went from a 4-win team to a playoff team. Leonard Fournette was the number 4 pick in the draft, and you went from a 4-win team to a 10-point lead in the AFC Conference Championship game the very next year. Cam Robinson was actually more important than Leonard Fournette, but Leonard Fournette was important. And I just got insulted. It wasn't a debate. It wasn't, you had to have an echo chamber. And that's one of many reasons I despise PFF. One of many, many, many reasons I despise PFF. But yeah, and that's one thing I want to make sure is that if you have a different opinion than mine, I want you to express it. I encourage it. I am not always right. I was wrong at least twice last month, at least twice. So. That high ankle sprain looked bad. In all fairness, it really looked bad. But I thought he was going to play, and he's not going to be 100%. So I don't blame you. I don't have action on the game, but because I don't have action, I'm going to pull for you because you're. If I'm correct, are you the guy who's in that big office poll? Are you that guy? If you're not, there's somebody who's putting in some comments. He's in a big office poll, like first place, something like $1,000. Are you that guy? Because I know that you in a big office poll like that, 3 losses pretty much cut you out. You can lose 2 and get a chance, and it comes down to a Monday night. No pub pool. Okay. Yeah, somebody put in some comments that they were in a like first prize was 1,000. I'm like, look, I'm pulling for you. You get 3, you're done. And yeah, and that's usually true. It's usually true with any football pool, unless it's like 5 or 10 people or something like that. PFF trash fan user. Yeah, I despise PFF. It doesn't make a damn bit of sense. Their metrics don't make any sense. I can go into detail. I'm not going to rant, but I despise PFF. Their metrics don't make sense. Their grading doesn't make sense. I know because I actually applied. A little rant. Okay, so I applied for PFF, and what they do is they judge the player by where they're at on the field. So I made a lot of mistakes the first game that I went over, and I was like, there's no way I made this many mistakes. And then I went back and I used something called the snipping tool, and I've been using the snipping tool, since 2017 when I first started. So I went through the snipping tool and I marked the yard markers because it's like they say if you're a linebacker, you have to be. It's like 6 yards or 8 yards. A strong safety is between like 8 and 10 yards, and then so anyway, I drew dash marks. And I said, no, I am right. Here is my proof. I proved it. I was correct. This is the player should be, forget what it was, linebacker, safety, whatever. And they said, no, we had other people look over it. And that was it. I was like, I literally showed you exactly. And I went, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I proved my work. I don't know if you live in Canada, you have a far superior school system, but you just do. But you got to prove your work, and I proved it, and I was so pissed that they were just like, nah, we had some other people look at it. That was what the guy sent me as the answer. We had other people look at it. I was like, no, I literally just proved it. And that's how they handle their company. It's majority rule, where the majority is not always right. The majority is not always right. We can go throughout history and find all sorts of decisions that the majority was not correct upon. Anyway, so I'm sorry about that rant. All right. I'm going to start off here. Tampa Bay at Atlanta. Atlanta was a 2.5-point favorite at home. They're a 2-point favorite. I like Tampa Bay. I'll be honest with you. I just want chaos in that NFC South. I want a 3-way tie at 7-9. I want 3 7-9 teams going into week 17. I just want complete chaos. I'm pulling for it. I want either a 7-10 or 8-9 team to win that division. Atlanta needs a quarterback. I'm not sold on Baker Mayfield, but Tampa Bay's defense has been playing really good. Atlanta has some playmakers on defense. The defense is much better than it was last year. Jesse Bates is a guy I was so happy to see leave Cincinnati. Really, really great player. I had a pick 6 against the Saints. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? That was probably the difference in the game, that pick 6, 92-yard pick 6. So PF just did a video where they called McNeil a 0 tech. He's been playing a 3 tech all year. How can you make fair? Yeah, exactly, Funk. Funk, you preaching to the choir here. I'm going to star this comment here. What a great comment. And exactly, they don't know what they're talking about. It's just terrible. So, sup, Dan? Have you seen? No, I have not. I don't have an excuse. Today's just been a rough day. Yesterday was a rough day. I worked early. I basically did not look at the internet. I will check it out. In case you're not aware, Tuesday, where it's going to be a foursome, please be ready to go at 7. It's going to be a great show. It's going to be a guest I've never had on before, and I think you'll really like it. But I did look over those videos. I don't subscribe to that guy, and I know those defensive tackles, and we're going to dive into that during draft time. 3 Michigan State football, really? Ooh. Michigan State's making a nice little splash. I mean, they're not going to. I really think that you're going to have. Now, Michigan may be on sanctions, but you have Ohio State. You're going to have Michigan. Penn State's the 3rd best team. I'm told USC has got a Heisman candidate backup behind Caleb Williams that they really, really believe will be a Heisman candidate this year. Or when I say this year, I'm talking 2024. But they got somebody that they're raving about. They got somebody, whoever's backing up this Caleb Williams guy, they think can be really, really, really good. I don't know who that is. I'm sorry. But we're going to do a lot of draft stuff, and I'm going to follow Michigan State, man. Next one's kind of an interesting one. There's Lamar Jackson has some sort of I don't know if I looked at it right before I came on. He's on the injury report. I think it's a stomach bug or something like that. So there's something wrong with him, but I fully believe that he's going to play. He's not going to be 100%. Baltimore went from a 7 to a 7.5 point favorite. Look, I say this a lot. If you're a West Coast team, the exception San Francisco. San Francisco has no problem doing it. I don't get it. But if you're a West Coast team and you travel to the East Coast for an early game, you're always at disadvantage. I know Seattle's had some luck. I know San Francisco's had some luck. The Rams are excellent coach team, but there's always a disadvantage there. If Lamar Jackson's on 100%, though, it could be some problems. Betting public does not really seem to mind that Lamar Jackson's on the injury report. I like the way the Rams are playing. I really like the way the Rams are playing. They've won 3 straight, even with a loss here against Baltimore. I think that they're going to make the playoffs. I really do. I think they're going to make the playoffs, and they're going to be a scary team if Stafford stays healthy. I blame PFF for the term edge being shown. Dude, yes. Okay, I'm sorry. I blame PFF for the term edge being used so much. People don't know the difference between a 4-3 defensive end and a 3-4 rush outside linebacker. This is one thing I absolutely positively hate, and I think it's lazy because when you go into scouting reports, you keep seeing edge. edge. And there's a big difference between outside linebacker and defensive end. Two totally different positions. Will Anderson played outside linebacker at Alabama. He plays defensive end in the NFL. And he said that now he had a great game last week. He had 2 sacks. I think he had like a tip pass, a forced fumble, phenomenal game, just game record, the type of game you want from the 3rd overall pick in the draft. Hasn't played that way all year, really hasn't. And he said that part of it is adjusting to the NFL. But what did he come out with? Edge. Yeah, I do blame PFF for that. I think it's lazy. Are there players that can be interchangeable? Sure. Is there certain players that play defensive end I think that would make better outside linebackers and vice versa? Sure. But yeah, edge is just fucking lazy. Yeah, I'm with you, Funk, man. God, you're on fire today, Funk. Hutch got a haircut, and he's been watching TJ Watt film to help him deal with the doubles. That's smart. James Houston being out hurts. I don't know the McNeil contract situation, but he's a guy who could be a cap casualty. But pride it may help, but Caper leaving and the Lions bringing in Fox to replace him is hurting Hutch more than any double team. Last year, Hutch was being used like a 3-4 rush outside linebacker like Watt. This year, he's not. I'll be honest with you. When I watch Hutchinson, he looks his best when he's standing up. It's kind of weird because he kind of looks like he's built like a defensive end, but he seems to play better as a pure outside linebacker. That's just my opinion. It's kind of funny because Joey Bosa is played his best football when he was actually a 5 tech, but now he's used as an outside linebacker opposite. I'm so embarrassed. Was with the Bears, had 6 sacks in the game, played college at Buffalo. Anyway, it's so embarrassing. 4th overall pick in the draft by the Raiders. Khalil Mack, okay. He plays his best inside. I think as an outside linebacker, he's out of position, but I mean, he's still a pretty good player. It's funny because his brother's used as a pure defensive end in that wide 9 defense. And here's the deal, like that wide 9 defense, sometimes they play in a 2-point stance. They usually don't, but sometimes they do. They've used they took D Ford, who was an outside linebacker for the Chiefs, put him at defensive end. Then keep in mind the wide 9. I'm kind of ranting here, but yeah, I like him better as in a 2-point stance. It would not surprise me if the Lions in this draft. There's a lot of things I think that they could do, but it wouldn't surprise me if they go after that defensive line. Keep addressing that. I was telling you last year he's much better on point. Yeah, you were saying it. Yeah. Hopefully on Tuesday's show you're gloating and not crying over those. I did pick the Lions to win, but next game I want to talk about Carolina at the Saints. The line stayed at 5.5. Oh, by the way, somebody put in Kevin says this. Are you a Canuck also? Perry is. I love it. Perry, what a great question. Do you think Robert Saleh gets fired with the Jets? I'm going to say no, but I would put the percentage at like 40% that he gets fired, and it's almost a coin flip. I think there's a very good chance he could get fired. I really do. The defense is so good. The offense is so terrible. The way he's handled the quarterback situation, bringing in Aaron Rodgers guy, I like that move. And I understand this offense was designed for Aaron Rodgers, not anybody else. But, I didn't watch Hard Knocks, so I don't know if Aaron Rodgers was taking like every single snap. But they should have had a contingency plan. They got 2 really good running backs. I know they got some injuries on the offensive line, but you got to do more. Yes or no? I'm going to say no. But that percentage is high, and it wouldn't surprise me. I kind of blame Aaron Glenn for embarrassing pass rush. Aaron Glenn's going to be a very interesting story because I actually thought before, I don't know who they hired either, but I really thought that he might be a guy at Texas A&M, being an alum, being an NFL guy. It would be somebody completely different, another name freeze than the coach that they had. So, God, that's so embarrassing. I'm glad I'm not seeing Denver Gator in the chat. He would just blast me for not thinking of that guy's name. But I thought Aaron Glenn to Texas A&M would make a lot of sense. I really did. I thought because there's so much talent on that team. They got somebody. I have no idea if Aaron Glenn wants to coach college either. That's another thing. I'm kind of curious what happens. I think Aaron Glenn gets some interviews, but I kind of think he stays with Detroit. But I'd be shocked if Ben Johnson doesn't go. Hutch has shorter arms. Dude, Funk, you're on fire today, man. Hutch has shorter arms and needs that a bit of extra separation to build some speed. He's a speed to power guy, not power to speed guy. Plus, he has better visibility when he's happy. Yeah, dude, you're nailing this. You're fucking nailing this. Dude, I know it's British Columbia. I have no idea what Powell River. That's so awesome. I'm getting Canada, guys. That is so freaking awesome. If you don't want to tell me, that's fine. Vancouver's on my bucket list. There's a few people on Instagram that I follow that are from Vancouver. They put something in the water. I don't know what it is. There is just like some incredibly hot looking women in Vancouver. So if you're near Vancouver, like I'm going to Vancouver one of these days. That's on the bucket list. So he's going to get interviewed by a lot of people. And God, how do I say this politely? A lot of it's the Rooney Rule. I think it's a stupid rule. I think the intentions are good, but he's going to interview probably with 6 or 7 teams, and I think it's going to be a lot of it's the Rooney Rule. I really do. Oh my God, I got Keaton Talk Sports. By the way, Keaton Talk Sports was on last Friday. He aced it. When he was on the show, he said Ohio State would go undefeated in the SEC. He said Ohio State would dominate the SEC. What a trash conference. Keaton Talk Sports is in the house. Great channel. Check out Keaton Talk Sports on YouTube. His picks are not as good as mine, but it's still a really great video. And if he wants to, he has an open invite to come back. You just nailed it. And I hope you come back on. Hope we can have another, we could kind of double play this. So, I touched about this earlier in the show, but I'll go over this again. I'm sorry, that came across kind of like a dick. I didn't mean to. What do you think of the Steelers-Pats game last night? Majority of Steeler fans are fed up and want Tomlin fired. He was outcoached. It was an old school game. Tomlin let the booze affect his play calling, changed the way he coached, and Bill Belichick didn't. Bill Belichick, you're like, oh, well, hey, you got a 3-win team. How good of a coach are you? But he stuck true to his guns. Hey, defense, special teams. I got backup quarterback. I got backup running back. Let's just play conservative. You got 2 really good running backs. You have a backup quarterback who does not look at all comfortable in that offense. The hero ball play was just stupid. Tomlin, it's funny. Before the season started, there was one Steelers fan, and I was about ready to blast him, but he brought up some good points. He goes, I'm not a fan of Tomlin. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. This is the guy who's going to walk into Canton. He's got a Super Bowl ring. He goes, Dan, I get it, but the game's passed him by. Look what he's done the last couple of years. We've had Roethlisberger, a Hall of Fame quarterback. We've had these great defensive players, and, we're just kind of skating by. Tomlin's not going to get fired, but he got out coached and he made some bad decisions. And when Kenny Pickett comes back, I'm not 100% sold on Pickett, but I really want to see what they do with a different offensive coordinator. Eric Bieniemy, if you're not familiar with him, longtime Chiefs offensive coordinator. He's now with Washington. I think he would be perfect for that job. By the way, I'm stealing that from Keys. Keys kind of brought that up, and I was like, God, that makes a lot of sense. I'm stealing that from Keys. I love that game. Now, you're a younger guy, so I don't know how much you remember this, but the Steelers-Patriots games in the past where Brady versus Big Ben were just classics, and people won't remember how great those games were because Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown are not going to end up in Canton, but they were Hall of Fame caliber players when they were on the Steelers. They had a guy by the name of Todd Haley as the offensive coordinator. He was the head coach in Kansas City, brilliant offensive mind. Seriously, he's coaching in the USFL, and his team, I think, was like the worst team. He doesn't relate well to people, but his offensive acumen is super high. I mean, just a genius dude. And they had a really good defense. They had some stud playmakers, some great battles with New England. And this reminded me of that game. It was a great game. I really enjoyed it. It was an old school game. You probably hated it because each team didn't score 50. I'm joking. Tomlin's not going to go anywhere, at least not this year. Bad loss. The big winner, of course, is Chicago because they almost locked up the number one pick in the draft. Great question, man. Great question. And I mean this when I mean this completely. I hope that you come back on again sometime in the near future. You were amazing. You did a great job. I don't know if I agree with you that Ohio State would beat every SEC team by 50 points. I don't think I agree with that, but you did a fantastic job. And Jack Campbell had the best game of his career when they gave him the green dot. Well, that was the whole point is when they drafted him is that they wanted him to be the future at middle linebacker. And he will be next year. And he's going to be a really good pro. He's not going to be a superstar. I think he's going to be really good. I think you're going to really like him. Raven 7-6 B more salute. This season flew by. Well, I don't know if you caught it or not. The betting public likes Baltimore 7 to 7.5. Lamar Jackson is on the injury report. I think it was a stomach bug. You tell me. I think he's going to play. I think Baltimore wins. They are. I know Miami technically is the 1 seed, but yeah. Okay. I was trying to figure out. So honestly, Anthony Glenn to Vegas. Or I'm sorry, Aaron Glenn to Anthony Lynn. I'm sorry. Ooh, boy. By the way, I'd love if Anthony Lynn returned to be an NFL head coach in Vegas. I would love it. Aaron Glenn to Vegas. I'll be honest, I don't see that because if you're going to do that, you might as well just stick with Antonio Pierce, who's done a fantastic job. Yeah, I know. One probably says Mike Tomlin getting out coaches. I know there was a lot of talk about that. I remember a Steelers fan told me that, and I was floored, and I was ready to make fun of him. Remember, I talked about how PFF, and this is not, and I said, you know what, you bring up some good points. I didn't think about that. And it really, he looked like Trubisky was affected by the booze. I'm sorry, he was. He just was. I think the crowd affected Tomlin's coaching decisions. I think he got outside of what he wanted to do. He did some trick plays, got lucky at the block punt. I don't think he called the hero ball play late, which was just a bad move. You don't ask a backup quarterback to make that move. You don't do it. It's stupid play call. Head coaches have veto control. That's one of those things where you got two new guys. The way they're doing it is, correct me if I'm wrong, the way the new offensive coordinator position for the Steelers is, I believe the running backs coach is the offensive coordinator and the quarterbacks coach is calling the plays. That may be flip-flop, but it's a weird thing. If you're Tomlin, you just say, look, I got Najee Harris who's 240. I'm just gonna, I got a tight end who weighs 270. Yeah, I'm gonna run the ball. Yeah. Pride, I think a big part is Jack played the whole game instead of coming in and out, so Barnes can get snaps. Hopefully, Alex gets put at the wheel and Jack at the mic for the rest of the year. I'm curious to see what they do. I mean, Alex Anzalone, what do you do with him? Because he really played really well. It's going to be interesting. This is going to be a complete. You're going to find out. You haven't had to deal with this before. You're going to have players leave. You're going to have coaches leave. It's a weird thing. It's going to be a weird off season for you. I'm warning you, Keaton, man. I'm gonna DM you. If not tonight, after the show, if not tonight, this weekend, I'd love to have you come back on. You're A plus. You got my sense of humor. You ran with it. I love your show. I love your picks video. It's not as good as mine. It's really good though. It's really good. I know you since you started your channel, maybe you're not going to do draft stuff. But if you do draft stuff, this is going to be Draft Central in about 2.5 months. I don't have the combine dates, but right after the combine, this is Draft Central. So, yeah, I want you back. I'm north of there on the sun. Ooh, that actually sounds awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you something. Like, there's a few girls that I follow. So one's a YouTube specialist, one's an Instagram specialist, and I took her Instagram class and I learned so much. But right now I'm just focusing on YouTube. But like, I don't know what they do in Vancouver. They like the women there. It's like, wow. Yeah. I mean, I'm in Kansas City and I will say this. I went up to Council Bluffs and like the average woman there weighs like 225. So like, you know, you know why? Listen, if you're into big girls, that more power to you. I'm 5'8", I'm 170. I like my girls to be a little thin. They don't have that in Council Bluffs. A lot of overweight women in the Midwest, but I don't know what they do in Vancouver. It's something different. It's something different. They are amazing. I'm dying to go. Agreed, Funk. Funk does not like Aaron Glenn. I love it. I actually think Aaron Glenn would make a better head coach and defensive coordinator. He has that you want to play from thing, but I think he listens to his advisors and assistants too much. That's interesting. That's interesting. That's a really interesting take. But I'm going to do a Black Monday show, and I hope that you're able to join on the Black Monday show. I'll advertise it more as we get closer. But I mean, we're only a few weeks away. I thought the Dolphins sex out. It's a shame because if they were just, I really think that Rodgers might play because he's practicing. If they were in playoff contention, he would come back. I don't think he will. So, okay, minor cold. That's what I thought. Yeah, I think he'll be fine. I would love for Aaron Glenn to get any head coaching job this season. I like free draft picks. Well, you wouldn't get a draft pick for Aaron Glenn. You wouldn't get a draft pick for Aaron Glenn. Yeah. Does Vegas have the money to hire a new coaching staff with the money they're playing John G. McDaniel? I think that's part of the reason why I like Antonio Pierce there. It's a money issue. So, yeah. All right. Who do you blame the defensive woes on? That's, you guys have to tell me. I don't. Here's my thing with the Lions. Before the season started, I think that there's I had them winning about 9, 10 wins, maybe 8. I thought the Vikings would win that division. And I thought they were a work in progress. All right. You had some holes in your front seven, but you have some nice pieces. I wasn't convinced your secondary would work out. To be honest, the injury to CJGJ may have been a blessing in disguise because you forced Branch into the starting role, and he's just playing lights out. I love that pick. That was like one of my favorite picks in the draft. That was one of my favorite picks. Hendon Hooker in the 3rd round was probably my favorite. Like, that to me was a steal. I thought this was going to be kind of a rebuilding year, and you guys are ahead of the curve. So I wouldn't blame anything. You got a tough game against the Bears. And I say tough game, it's a division game on the road and a game you need to win because if Dallas beats Philly and you guys beat Chicago, you have a chance for home field. And how awesome would that be? I'm not a Lions fan, okay? I'm not a Lions fan. I love all you guys, by the way, but I'm not a Lions fan. I'm not going to pretend I am. How awesome would it be to hear Detroit Lions first round bye? And how awesome would it be to have Philly, San Francisco, or better yet, Dallas? Actually, it would be. It'd be Dallas, Philly, and San Francisco all play wild card weekend. How awesome would that be? And they wouldn't play against each other either. It'd be whoever loses in the NFC East would play the NFC South winner, just like last year. Dallas beat the shit out of Tampa Bay, if you remember. Then you would have two versus, and by the way, these could be some really good games too. You could have San Francisco versus the Rams. You could have San Francisco versus the Seahawks. There's a lot of fun things that you could happen. Dallas or Philly. Well, there's probably not an NFC East team that would get in besides the top two. But I mean, God, there's some really good NFC games. I don't blame anything. This is work. Listen, this is a work in progress, man. You got a lot of young players. You got brought in a lot of free agents. You still got some work to do. I think the big question is do you want to keep doing the work with Aaron Glenn or do you want to move on? But I don't blame the defensive woes. You got a young revamped defense from last year. I mean, let me ask you this. How many starters from last year are playing this year? Anzalone, who's out. Okay. McNeil, Hutchinson. I don't know who played opposite Houston, but I know Houston wasn't a starter, but he was key. So never underestimate 2-win teams. They're the most dangerous. They have nothing to lose. Steelers overlooked the Cardinals and the Patriots. I don't think they overlooked the Patriots. I really don't, but they overlooked Arizona. And I didn't see any of that game. But when I saw weather delay, I'm like, a desert comes to the East Coast and they're on a Perry has a great question. Okay, yeah. Perry threw me off, okay? A weather delayed game from a team coming from the desert. How do you lose that game? There's no excuse for that. I don't think they overlooked the Patriots. I really don't. I think the Patriots just came in ready to play. Bailey Zappi is better than Mac Jones. I don't think he's the answer. I think you have to go with a different quarterback, but he's better for right now. That's where we're at. That's where we're at. I don't think they overlooked New England. I really don't. I think it was a bad game plan. Tomlin was out-coached. Here's the drill. That Patriots defense is really, really good. It really is. It was going to be a low-scoring game. Patriots, if you told me before the game started, Patriots are going to get 21, I'm like, they're going to win that game. Bad coaching decision. Just out-coached. I think the Cardinals, they completely overlooked. I don't think they overlooked the Patriots. And I know you're mad because they beat you guys earlier in the year. They shouldn't have. I remember that bomb to Pickens. I remember watching that game. I'm like, holy shit, Pittsburgh's going to win this game. Baltimore was easily the better team, but Pittsburgh just kept hanging around. I really begin to – I'm questioning if Pittsburgh's a playoff team. The AFC North's becoming a lot of fun, man. Oh, man, I got my boy Chad in the house. Jed, what's up, man? Chad's my brother from another mother. He is my closest friend. Not a football fan, but just supports me, man. That's a definition of a true friend. Supports your dreams. So, the beach, LOL. What are you in, Big? This is just so surreal, dude. Yeah, so I visit Council Bluffs, and like I swear to God, like I think the women just go around eating sticks of butter. It was every. By the way, everybody in Council Bluffs was huge. It was just crazy. And in the Midwest, yeah, but like yeah, I don't know what they do in Vancouver, but like there's something in the water there, But yeah, this is just awesome. This is so awesome. One Pride says, I believe there'll be 8 head coaching vacancies. So you're looking at 6. All right, let's see if I can get all 6. Chargers is probably going to be one. Washington's probably going to be one. So you got those 2. I would say if Atlanta doesn't win the South, I think that's a position. I think there could be an AFC East team getting a new head coach. It could be New England. It could be the Jets. They could both stay. Chicago's going to get a new head coach. There was another team disrupt. Carolina's getting a new head coach. That one's already, yeah. So the other 6 here. Drawing a blank here. Drawing a blank. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Monday night. So what's going to happen is I'm going to do a Black Monday special. I'm just going to go live 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on Monday and go over all the head coaching firings. And I'm going to do my regular show on Tuesday. So you're going to get back to back, and that's the plan. And I'm going to promote that. I should be promoting it now, to be honest with you, but I haven't set it up yet. I haven't set up the live stream for Sunday. I've been behind on things. Yeah, Jalen Carter, he hit the rookie wall. I know he had an injury as well, so yeah. Yeah, I really do. He stepped in. To be honest, the CJGJ injury is a real blessing in disguise, because I wasn't sure how he would fit in. And Branch, I think, fits like a hand in a glove. It's really sad because CJGJ banked on a 1-year contract. He got injured, left a lot of money on the table. But there's a team that's going to pick him up, and I don't think it's going to be the Lions. I'll be honest, I wouldn't mind him back in Kansas City. I just don't think he fits in what the Chiefs want to do. But he's a free agent. I'm going to circle. I really believe the Lions could shock the NFL in the playoffs. Why not? I mean, why not? The offense is really good. They got playmakers on defense. The NFC, I'll be honest with you. I picked Dallas, and spoiler alert, I picked Dallas to win at home against Philly. San Francisco is the most talented team, but I have zero confidence they're going to stay healthy. You got high-powered offense. You have some playmakers on defense. Why not? Why not? Why not, man? I seriously, I'm not a Lions fan. I'm not, by the way, the guys that are in the chat, the Lions fans are in the chat. No, I'm not pandering to them, but how awesome would it be for the Lions to get a first round bye and to have wild card weekend feature Philly, San Francisco, and Dallas? How awesome would that be? That'd be so much fun. I don't know. To be honest, before the season started, if you told me that you won the North, which I thought you had locked up early, I still think you got locked up. I thought that'd be good enough. I really did. I thought that'd be good enough. I thought it'd be great. Like, hey, you won the North. That's a win. I'm kind of looking at things now. It's like, if you lose in that first round, that may not be a win. I don't know. Seriously, I've been saying this, and it'll never happen because it's gone from 17 to 18 in a couple years. But the NFL, here's what the NFL should do. It should be a 14-game schedule, 2 bye weeks, 4 months, and that would be perfect. And because I don't want to see playoff games with 7 to 8 backups. And that's really, real grass, 14 weeks, 2 bye weeks. Every team gets a bye week, one before the first 7, one between weeks 4 and 7, and another one between weeks like 9 and 11 or 9 and 12. That's exactly what should happen, and the NFL will not listen to me. No, because they want to make it 18, and it will be 18 in a couple of years. It'll be an 18 game schedule, and the NFL really should do less is more, and really should make it a 4-month season, 14 weeks, 2 bye weeks. It would be awesome. It really would be awesome. They'll never do it. I'll never win that argument. Carter went cold. Laporta and Gibbs are balling out. Sounds like they made the right choice to me. The Lions, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think the Bears, I think whiffed. Darnell Wright, I think he's going to be a solid right tackle, but can you imagine Jalen Carter, Montez Sweat on that defense? Yeah, yeah. Hey, want to guess where the fraudulent Eagles are in scoring? You will be shocked. I don't know. I don't know. Tell me. I should know that off the top of my head. I don't. Hand pink waving. One, my Ravens were 14-2 in 2019. Got punched in the face by the Titans. I remember that because Greg Roman threw the ball 59 times in that game. And here's the thing: you lost that game. It was like 21-7, 24-10, something like that. I remember, I remember there was another game on or some reason, but I remember watching on the scoreboard, like, what the hell's going on? It's funny because the Ravens started off, if I remember correctly, it was either 2-2. So they started off 2-0. They lost one game. They lost at Arrowhead, and I'll never forget this. Nandi Alodi Nada. So the Chiefs brought him in to be a zero technique. He I don't know what he's listed at, but he's like 5'10 or 5'11, 350. And I remember they had a direct run, Lamar Jackson around the left tackle, and Nadi landed on him at 350, and Lamar Jackson came up holding his shoulder. And I remember thinking, this is how you beat Lamar Jackson. You hit him, and he had a terrible game. And I was like, this is NFL teams are going to watch how the Chiefs beat the Ravens, and they're going to do the same thing. And then Lamar Jackson just blows up. Now, remember week 1, he had like 6 touchdowns or something against Miami. Something ridiculous. Led the NFL in touchdown passes, 36. But I remember that week 4 game. I was like, that's how you beat the Ravens. You just hit Lamar Jackson really. It was a clean shot. It wasn't a dirty play. It really wasn't. I'm a Chiefs fan. What am I going? What the fuck am I going to tell you? I mean, I was a Chiefs fan. Yeah, but I didn't think it was a dirty play. I really didn't. You set like an NFL record for rushing yards, and then you go into the playoffs, you play the Titans, and you throw the ball 59 times. It didn't make any sense. What's funny is Carter turned into a ghost when him and his woman got into that shoplifting ordeal from Target. Maybe his off-field issues are the problem. I forgot about that. I really kind of put it on the back burner, to be honest with you, Funk. Some of you know that over time, as I get bigger, I really want to deal and talk about a lot of men's self-development and getting with the right girl. And I want to talk about so much more of these things because it's really hard on men out there today, and people just don't get it. But here you are, you're an NFL superstar, and you're with a girl that's causing problems in your personal life. I mean, what's wrong with you? And too many NFL players get involved in this. So, I mean, as I hopefully continue to increase in size and increase my fan base, I want to talk about men's, self-development and cutting people out who aren't good people in your life. Like for example, let me talk about my buddy Chad. Chad's not a football fan, but here he is. He's on my channel. He's watching. He's supporting, and that's the type of people you wanna hang out with. You don't want to hang out with negative people. You don't want to hang out with people that subtract. You don't want to hang out with bad women. I can tell you some stories about some of the women I've dated and how bad they destroyed my life. My fault. Anyway, back to the show. Gibbs, Laporta, Branch will have more impact than one player. Yeah, you had a great draft. Great draft. At one, the Lions need to stay on the radar and shock people in the playoffs. Saints. Okay, the Saints are going to fire somebody. Okay. Chargers, Raiders, Bears, Jets, Bills. That's the one. I think the Jets. I do think McDermott gets fired. I think I agree with all those except the Jets, which we'll have to find out over the last couple weeks. Raiders, Chargers, Bears, Saints. Now, here's the deal with the Raiders. You're counting McDaniels, right? All right. So Raiders, Chargers, Bears, Saints, Falcons. Oh, Tampa. Yeah, Tampa's moving on from bowls. I forgot about that one. Carolina, New England, Buffalo. Yeah. That's 9. If I did my math right, I don't think I wonder what's going to happen with Belichick. 23rd. Wow. Our defense is suspect. We win the division, host and playoff game. It's part of, yeah. And here's the deal, because you have so many new players, just hosting the game at the beginning of the season would have been enough. But now I'm kind of like, I'm looking at a 9-3 team and I'm like, I don't know. Should be top 5. Go row wad. G-row wad. I'm sorry. I'm not sure what you mean. Do you remember that game where the Houston Oilers or was Tennessee? They're up by 50. They were up by my 50 and lost the game. Oh yeah, okay. It was 38-10. 38-10. They threw a pick 6. 38-10, and then or 35, or was it 35-10? Yeah. I forgot about the whole story, man. I forgot. I really did. I forgot about the whole thing. But yeah, Perry preaching facts here. Most women are not worth the risk getting married. Yeah, exactly. There's so much I want to go over this. Yeah, Chad, bad dude. Seriously, if you get involved with the wrong girl, it can destroy your life. It really can. Funk brings up a good point, Dan. I like the 18 games. I think the first 3 and last 3 games should all be divisional games. 2 bye weeks, 1 in each 4 through 9, 2 through 17. No byes in week 10 and 11. That actually isn't half bad. Instead of 4 months, making it 5. You go now. The problem is that you could be pushing that Super Bowl in March. All right, think about it. It's September, October, November, December. Okay. You're playing football all throughout January. The NFL is going to go to an 8 playoff game format soon as well. So, and if you have a bye before, the Super Bowl will end up in March, and I don't want that. I really don't want that. But I could see the NFL doing that. I wouldn't mind if the NFL started early September, but yeah. I wouldn't mind that either, man. I wouldn't mind that either. That's actually not a bad idea. It won't happen, but I would love it. They have to win 3 more games, and honestly, they really don't even have to do that. To be honest with you, I mean, I'm looking through here. Does Minnesota buy this? No. Okay. They really don't, because I don't know if I have faith in Minnesota or Green Bay. Spoiler alert, I have both teams losing this week. I'll go over that. So Pride, I want the division locked up before week 18 so the Lions can start Teddy 2 gloves and put Hooker in the second half. I would love that. I really want to see Hendon Hooker play. Slasher! What's up, Dan and fellas? God damn it, those 49ers are good. Yes. Yes, they are. If you look at the box score, it's going to look like a blowout. It really wasn't a blowout. The defense is still really good. The offense has some issues. You got a tough one. Slasher, man, please watch my video and don't get mad. I do have Dallas winning. I just do. Dallas at home is tough. Here's the drill. You lose to Dallas, you stole the tiebreaker, by the way, if you're curious. At Funk and One Pride, what do you think our record will be going down the stretch? 3-2? All right. Let's bring up the next game. Detroit at Chicago. Chicago's a 3.5-point home dog. And it's been staying that way. I like Detroit to win a close one. I do think they covered 3 in the hook. I would not bet on this game at all. This is going to be an interesting game. I'm actually really looking forward to this game. Where I'm at in the country, I'm not going to watch it because it's not going to be shown, but I'll have the red zone on. I think actually the game that's going to be on is going to be Jacksonville at Cleveland. I really want to see that game. So drop one to the Cowboys and Vikings. I could see that this weekend. Ooh, okay. I think Green Bay is. I do too, but it's too much room to make up. And I got them losing in an upset on Monday night. It's a pick I got kind of made fun of, but it just kind of feels like, you know, this is the type of game that you fall apart in. It was an emotional game where they really got up. Jordan Love was you know, he was public. He said, "Hey, look, when the schedule came out, I circled Chiefs, not Lions, not Bears, not Vikings." He circled Chiefs, and I thought that was interesting. Monday night in New York's tough on prime time, and I like the defense. DeVito is not playing bad. There's some holes on that defense, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. But Green Bay is getting hot. They look really good. They really do. Next up, Indianapolis at Cincinnati. This is a real surprise because Cincinnati opened up as a 1-point home dog. Now they're a 2-point home favorite, so it's a 3-point difference between when I released my video, and I got all these numbers right before I came on. So the betting public is really high on Cincinnati at home. They're eating the Jake Browning the chili that they put like spaghetti. It's something goofy. Anyway, I personally like the Colts in this game. I really think it's a fluke. But we'll find out because Cincinnati wins. It is funny. I joked around Keys because he's like, you know, maybe Burrow's more of a system quarterback than we think. Maybe he's not the superstar. And that would be a terrible move because Cincinnati just invested $275 million in a guy who gets injured every other year. So they killed us with motion and CMC. I'm not mad at you for picking Dallas for another short rest weekend and won a lot of stadiums in the NFL. Not very. Listen, by the way, you lose this game, you still hold the tiebreaker. So it's not a bad thing. So 10-3, nothing wrong with that. You would hold the tiebreaker. I don't know what the tiebreaker is against the Lions if the Lions wins because all 3 teams would be at 10-3. But it would just make the NFL so much more fun. So it could happen. The Bears are going to be pissed about what happened last time. No Frank, no and Goff gets beat by the wind. There's definitely a chance we take it. There really is, man. There really is. If Goff keeps playing bad, I hope Holmes doesn't sign him long term. We're going to find out. We're going to find out how much faith they have in Hendon Hooker, who has a much, much higher ceiling and a much, much, much lower floor. And if you move on from offensive coordinators, that can mean a world of difference too. Yeah, they're trying. I forgot about the whole shoplifting thing, and that was a big problem. It's a stupid maturity thing, but I mean, it's still bad move. Chicago passing on them, stupid shoplifting and all. Next game's another game that's changed which I really don't understand. Houston at the Jets. The Jets opened as a 6.5-point home dog. It's now 3.5 because Zach Wilson's going to save the day. I mean, I don't get it. I think Houston wins. I forgot what the score I picked, but I think they win. If you can get 3 somewhere, this would be the game I would bet on. I know both teams have really good defenses, but the Houston defense and the Jets defense are very similar. I know CJ Stroud's a rookie. I know the defense is really, 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 really good. But I think Houston wins this game on the road. I really like the Houston Texans. So Eagles frauds. I'm not saying that at all. But I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they lose against San Francisco and Dallas in back-to-back weeks. Keep in mind, they did the same thing last year where they lost a couple games late in the season, rebounded, won the division, got the 1 seed, and advanced to a Super Bowl and played in one of the greatest Super Bowls of all time. Came very close to beating my Chiefs. Great game. Great game. Carter gets double teamed every snap just off the basis of that he's impactful every single snap. So, yeah. I can't wait to watch. Well, to tell you the truth, I won't watch that game because I'll be doing play-by-play for Chiefs Bills, which is going to be a great game. But yeah, Holmes like golf for some reason. Yeah, Zach Wilson is a bust. I don't understand why Jet. Well, there was a lot to like about him coming out of the draft. I mean, just crazy arm talent, athleticism, I mean, there was a lot of upside with him. I mean, a lot of people thought that he might have some more upside than Lawrence, but they loved everything else about Lawrence versus, Zach Wilson's kind of a 1-year wonder at BYU. There's the arm talent's off the charts. It's just that you can tell he can't process what's going on in an NFL field. If you just have him 1, 2, 3 step and throw, he can make every NFL throw. The arm is arm talent is just off the charts. It's just he can't process what's going on. And I think the musical quarterbacks, it's a bad offense. They really what Nathaniel Hackett should have done is when Rodgers got hurt, and I'm guessing, but what they did is he came in, he implemented an offense. Okay. He's using the same offense, and what he should do is change it and run something completely different. So he's gone cold, bro. 12 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, but Branch has been on a terror. Now he's been really good. Just watch. Okay. I'm going to watch the replay, but no, wait a minute. It's on Sunday night. No, I'll watch it. Excuse me. Slash right here, the same thing said about Hutch. Sorry. All top end talent gets doubled. It's their job to be doubles, or they aren't top end talent. Another game that I'm going to talk about, the next one on the list here is Seattle at San Francisco. San Francisco opened at 10.5. It's now 13. I'll be honest with you. I'd lean towards betting Seattle, a few extra days rest. And division games are always tough. San Francisco's a better team. I mean, let's be clear. I don't think they cover 13. I really, really, really don't. Yeah, Trey Lance. We haven't even mentioned him in Dallas. I don't even know if he's the backup in Dallas, to be honest with you. I mean, Romeo Ochoa came in for Hutch and be a double team for a sack this past week, so he's a nobody. If you can't, yeah, exactly. And it doesn't seem like he can process things. And I think a problem is part him not being able to process. I think it's partly Nathaniel Hackett not changing the offense. And you really need to change the offense. You needed to do something different, and he didn't. So, beating one double team versus being doubled 62% of your pass rushing snaps when you only play unlimited around already is pretty impressive. Keep in mind, thanks to Jalen Carter, I know Hassan Reddick's had several sacks. I mean, Hassan Reddick's a guy. It's kind of funny because he's built. We talked about edge rushers. Hassan Reddick was a former defensive back who bulked up to 240 and played defensive end at Temple. And then he got to Arizona and they tried him at inside linebacker, outside linebacker. He was benched, and then they put him at defensive line and defensive end, and he just blew up, even though he's an undersized guy and he looks like an outside linebacker. His best position is defensive end, and Hassan Reddick's been tearing it up. By the way, he'll be replaced probably either next year or 2 years from now by Nolan Smith, who I don't think's been playing very much, but he's a guy it wouldn't surprise me next year Nolan Smith gets a starting spot and gets like 10 and a half or 12 sacks. He's amazing. Yeah, these division games are tough. I'm kind of surprised people are actually betting on 10 and a half. I'm surprised this went up from 10 and a half to 13. I'm really, really shocked. If I was going to bet, I'd bet San Francisco to cover 10 and a half, but if I was going to bet on this game, I'd probably take Seattle on 13. Why not? Yeah. Hatters out 71-0. Lions by 1 million. I love it. How's Jay Davis doing this year? If Carter keeps this up, Branch will win Defensive Rookie of the Year. He might. He's having a good year. Branch is not better than Witherspoon this year. He's not winning it over Carter or Spoon. I would give it to Carter, but stats mean a lot. I know Spoon's had some splash plays. I really like Ryan Branch a lot, so it'll be hard. Next game, Minnesota at Vegas. Vegas stayed as a 3-point dog. I like Vegas in this game, just kind of a hunch. I like Aiden O'Connell. I love Minnesota's defense. It's so confusing, but the Raiders, I think, can keep it simple, win an ugly one. Wouldn't surprise me if Minnesota wins, but I like the Raiders in upset. Buffalo at Chiefs. Lines at 2.5, stayed at 2.5. I didn't mention this earlier. Juana Morris, a 4th-round rookie, is going to start at left tackle. He's going to see a lot of Von Miller. Could be a problem. We'll have to wait and see. Even though the Chiefs have an extensive injury report this week, the line hasn't changed. I feel good in the Chiefs winning despite the injuries. Buffalo is also an injury-riddled team, so I'm not making this. I'm not going to use injuries as an excuse. Now, if Juana Morris, who's going to start at left tackle, if he's garbage, then I'm going to be really mad because the Chiefs could have done something different at left tackle. But this is a kid, a 4th-round pick that they really, really like. And there's a chance that this is his audition, because if he plays well, he could be the starter at left tackle going forward. So, Dan, I'm a Branch fan too, even before he went to Detroit, but he's not as impactful this season as Carter or Witherspoon. I would still give it to Carter, but Branch has really been playing lights out, and I really think that this team is. This sounds so mean. I feel like such a dick for even saying this. The Lions are a better team with CJ GJ not being there, in my opinion, and just inserting Brian Branch. And this is a guy I think is going to be a really good player for a long time. Really, really good player. Branch is having a great year. Might be the best of the group long term, but he doesn't have the splash plays to win it. Slasher, he's been, I love the way he's been playing. Spoon's had the splash plays, and that's usually what wins the awards. I think Jalen Carter's the best player. And I still think the Bears messed up not taking him. This is a game I won't be watching because I'll be doing live play-by-play and commentary. I don't have the link in the description, but Sunday I will be doing play-by-play for Chiefs Bills. So for you Lions fans, after you get done watching Detroit beat the Lions, Detroit beat the Lions. Detroit beat the Bears. Come on YouTube, listen to me do play-by-play for Chiefs Bills. And then Sunday night, what a great game of the week. Philly at Dallas. Dallas opened up a 3.5-point favorite. I don't care if Dallas covers or not. It's a bad bet. The line should drop to 3. I have Philly covering because I got 31-29 game. I think it's a low scoring game. 31-29 is a low scoring game. What is this, fucking basketball? I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. I'm fucking up. I think it's a close game. That's what I meant to say. I think it's a really close game. I would not bet 3.5 either way. If I was going to take 3.5, I'd take Philly. God, what a great game. And then Monday Night Football, Tennessee at Miami. Miami's a 13-point favorite. I didn't put it down on my sheet, and I should have this memorized. I'm 90% sure I got Tennessee covering 13. Miami wins this one. If Baltimore loses to the Rams, which I don't think that he will do, but let's just say, they do lose, and Miami wins, that they're still in the 1 seed. I'm actually really looking forward to this game. But Green Bay at the Giants. Giants are a 7-point home dog. They're now 6.5. I like the Giants to win this game. I really do. It's an under the radar team. The Giants play well in primetime games. We'll see what happens. Green Bay's a better team, of course. I really like the way they've been playing. It's my upset pick. So Spoon's coughed up 417 and 5 touchdowns. You sure he's a little trash talk here between you guys. One Pride and Funk, Defense Player of the Year, said the Lions may move on from Broderick Martin. That's wow. I don't know who DOP is. It's a rookie, so you're talking about Broderick Martin, your 3rd-round pick out of Western Kentucky, a guy I really like. I would be shocked if you did this, because he's a guy that has oodles of upside, but coming from Western Kentucky is a guy that really needs like a year or two in the NFL. This is a raw player and a 3rd-round pick. I would be shocked if they did this. I would be beyond shocked, but it maybe he has some bad work habits. I don't know. Dan, you should go on early and do a red zone ending for first slate of games. Go live at 2 your time. I thought about doing it. The only thing is, I'm going to work Sunday, and I'm going to come back probably anywhere between 1 and 2. So I'm going to fast forward through a lot of the, I skip commercials and halftime and all that stuff. And if the game's a snoozer, I'll go to the red zone. So that's the only reason why. In the future, I'm going to try to do more games other than just Chiefs games. I meant to do that. It's just my work schedule's been really hectic. But yeah, I want to do something like that, Funk. You follow me. By the way, Funk, I sent you a message on Twitter months ago. Months ago. I know you're not big of social media, but I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Below, I know you're on Instagram. This is a great suggestion. If that happens, how would you feel about it? I know I would be shocked. Detroit Lions podcast. I don't think I might subscribe to those guys. So here's the deal with YouTube. If you ask me to subscribe, 9 out of 10 times I do. But they're not guys I follow on a regular basis. So even Will Anderson might have a case over some defensive rookies. That game he had last week, 2 sacks. I think it was a tip pass that resulted. He dominated that game. He has a few more like that he could. So, Slasher, they say it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And Anderson might have the best. He might. I think that's a playoff team. So. Yeah, pick 6 was week 1, and it sucks because a lot of people forget about it. A lot of Chiefs fans, by the way, blame Tony more than Branch, but I think it was a combination. I'm mad at Tony for dropping the fucking ball, but it was kudos to Branch. Branch could have easily caught it and been tackled or fell down, and still would have been a great play. I don't think he's a lock. I really don't. I'll be honest. Now, I think I have Philly losing this week. So that things would change. My midseason report, I had Nick Sirianni, and if they beat Dallas, I would stay with Sirianni. But lock, no, he's not a lock. I'm not saying he's not going to win it, but do I think he's a lock? No. Yeah, Anderson last 4 out of 5 sacks. I came in the last 5 games. He's been back. Yeah, he's just. It was kind of funny because he talked about how in the Houston defense, it was. God, I wish I remembered a quote. It's if you're thinking you're losing, we're at Alabama. It was read and react, and with Houston, it's just go. And they're so different of a style of defenses. And he was an outside linebacker at Alabama. He's a pure defensive end. He'll put on some weight this offseason, even though like I was surprised at the combine. He was like, I think 263, if I remember right. I didn't think he was going to be that big. So DLP, yeah, they don't know the plan. He's a project. Yeah, I would be floored if they moved on from Martin, because this was a guy that they drafted and knew he wasn't going to play right away. I mean, this is raw. I mean, he wasn't even, by the way, Broderick Martin wasn't even invited to the combine. I did enough mock drafts and knew enough about sleepers to know who he was. There was a player, Adontae Poe for the Chiefs that John Dorsey drafted, and he was going to be like a 3rd, 4th round pick, had maybe the best defensive tackle combine of all time. Looked like he was going to be a stud. He had back fusion surgery, came back, was never the same. But he reminds me a lot of Adontae Poe. And Adontae Poe for a couple of years was, I mean, just amazing. I mean, just played at such a crazy level. He had that back fusion surgery. He was never the same, and it sucks. That's another name. Yeah, I might put Ron if the Texans make this playoffs with a rookie quarterback, he might win it. Yeah, I like Sirianni, but after Sirianni, if Sirianni loses, I would look at Ryans. I would look. I'm not even. By the way, I haven't ruled out Campbell. He's not a lock though. That's it. He's just not a lock. He's got 2 picks all season. Yes, he has tackle for losses, but he's just been a guy for a lot of the middle of the season. And the one-handed pick is pretty interesting. I know I just didn't like the waste of draft capital to move up for him. Which guy? Are you talking about Perry? Are you talking about Martin? Because like he was a late 3rd round pick. I don't think they moved up for him. Or if they did, it was relatively minor. I won't go through my draft stuff. I got all my draft stuff right here on the floor. It's a bad organizational thing, but I keep my draft stuff next to me here. I won't go over detail, but I don't think they traded. I could be wrong about that. Are you talking about Stroud or Martin? Even though Stroud should win it, Laporte he should get some nods. He should get some votes. I think the way it works is that it's 1, 2, and 3, and 1 gets a certain amount of points, 2 gets a certain amount of points, and 3 gets a certain amount of points. Martin, really? I got that in my notebook. I won't look it up. I'll take your word for it. I still think it's a good move, and getting rid of him, I think, would be a big mistake unless there's something going on behind the scenes. But yeah, Laporta getting talks about becoming an All-Pro his first year in the league. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Kelsey's going to win it, but Kelsey, remember, he missed week 1. He had a few games where he didn't do much. Kelsey's probably going to win it, but I mean, Laporta has another game or 2 like he did last week. It wouldn't surprise me. He's having a great rookie year, great player. And I agree with you, One Pride. He looks so much better in Chiefs red. So much better. I love the B2 bomber, but Branch has not been that guy around the league, while Anderson, Carter, and Spoon have had lead wide talk regularly. And another thing is that B2 bomber, I love that. He's a 2nd round pick. He should have been a 1st round pick. The Chargers, instead of Quentin Johnston, should have drafted Branch. It was a big mistake. Really? No, I really liked it. Dan, they gave up 2 other day 3 picks for Martin. I'm not stressed about him until next year. Yeah, I thought it was a good move because the one thing that you got to remember something, your defense was horrid last year. And the one thing about him is he has size and athleticism. And I'm telling you right now, John Dorsey saw a lot of Don Terry Poe in this guy. And Don Terry Poe had 2 seasons where he was just unstoppable. It was crazy because what they used to do is he would play a 0 tech. And then on 3rd down, they would actually put him at a 5 tech, and they would put him next to either Justin Houston or Tamba Ali. So it let a Pro Bowl pass rusher, you have to get one-on-one coverage on the Pro Bowl pass rusher because you don't want the 340-pound guy to hit your quarterback. So you had to double team Poe. Justin Houston had 22 sacks. Half of those came because Don Terry Poe was next to him. And that's something that you're going to see probably going on. But I like Martin a lot. I thought it was a good pick. Shouldn't play a lot. Now, maybe there's behind the scenes stuff. Maybe his work ethic. Maybe he pees in the shower. I mean, certain guys, rub coaches the wrong way. If he comes into training camp out of shape and he doesn't improve, because when you're school like from Western Kentucky, you need to put on the NFL 20. Now, he's big enough that he doesn't need to put on 20 pounds, but there needs to be a 20-pound shape difference. So Don Terry Poe, I remember me and my buddy went to a Chiefs training camp in 2013, Andy Reid's first year, and it was Don Terry Poe's second year. We were like, who's 92? And we're like, that's not, like, he changed his body completely. Watch it. Well, you may not be able to do this, but in 2012, he had like the jersey, like the fat roll was sticking out. The jersey was like up to here. And then he looked, even though you could tell he was like 340, the jersey was all the way down, covering the stomach. And you could tell, like, even though he didn't really lose the weight, he transformed his body completely. That's what you have to see out of Broderick Martin. He could be. Keep in mind, when you lose Ben Johnson, things are going to change in that offense. So, and you may move on at quarterback. There's a lot of change. You haven't dealt with this yet, One Pride. There's going to be a lot of changes. You're going to lose coaches. You're going to lose players. And here's the deal. You're not only going to lose probably Ben Johnson, you're going to lose some position coaches as well. You're probably going to lose some position coaches. You had a weaker schedule. You're going to be on prime time. You're going to play Monday night against some top tier teams. It's going to be different. So, but yeah, and One Pride 40, I 1000% agree with you. He looked much better at Chiefs uniform than a Lions uniform. He has been. Yeah, he's been really good. If Stroud wasn't the guy he's been this year, Laporta, yeah, he would be. He would be. I'm trying to think. I don't think there's another rookie who's been any besides those two. Yeah. They use Martin eat up doubles to help. I don't know if you guys tell me, does he play a lot now, or is he still a project? Because I really didn't think he would play a lot year one. I really didn't. But when you're a small school guy and you really need to, it's kind of funny. I saw a clip of the Georgia weight room, and it's crazy. So this guy went to Western Kentucky. I've not seen any NFL weight room, but I've seen Georgia's weight room, and usually an NFL weight room's pretty close. Like, there's no excuse. Like, it's not like, well, all the machines are. No, there's no excuse. If you're an NFL player, you have access to a world-class weight room. A lot of NFL players have personal nutrition specialists. If I'm Broderick Martin, even though it's a different position, I would talk to Aiden Hutchinson and be like, hey, what do you do during the off season? That would be the smartest thing to do. And what do you do? Because, like, even though they're different body types, like the body that Aiden Hutchinson probably goes through a rigid, you could just tell from the way he's built, he probably goes through a rigid off season workout. And that's something Broderick Martin has to do. And maybe he doesn't show that. So Martin has struggled to get good bend. His hips are real stiff, and it might be enough to ruin his. If he's rushing the passer, then that's a problem, because he's a 330, 340 pound dude. He really shouldn't be rushing the passer at all. you're probably not using them right if that's the case. That's my opinion. Yes. I didn't like the pick at the time. I was hoping for a DT or Steve. Oh, by the way, that was a great pick. He's having a really good season for the Rams. But the way Laporta is playing, I'm glad we got him. Yeah, Steve Avila went, I think, 2 picks later to the Rams, and he's having a great rookie season. He really is. I ridiculed you for the first 2, and they were both reaches. I'll stand by that. I didn't hate Branch. I just was questionable because another brain freeze. Michael Mayer, the tight end out of Notre Dame, I had a higher grade on, but if Laporta went to the Chiefs or a team that's going to use him more as a wide receiver, which the Lions are doing, then you go with a guy like Branch. If you want a pure 3-down tight end, and I know what you guys are going to say. Oh, Laporta blocks great, and like that's not really what he does. Where Michael Mayer can really run block, and I understand he's a decent blocker. He's not moving defensive ends back. Like he's doing decent. I've watched him, and Lions fans are like, oh, he's a great blocker. He's like, no, slow down. But there's Chiefs fans are like, Kelsey's a great blocker. And it's like, no, slow, hold on here. Hold on. No. But, yeah. You don't ask him to do those things. So. He still has a project needs to get past. Yeah, there's so many things that he needs to change. Martin just took Alt McNeil. McNeil took yoga, dropped like 13% body fat while keeping his size. It's been noticeable in his play. Yeah. Do something like that. Talk to Aiden Hutchinson. If he comes into training camp heavy, I would be concerned. But if he does something like that, then he's going to have a greater impact, because I'm telling you right now, Don Terry Poe, played as a rookie in the Romeo Crennel 3-4 defense, which everybody said the same thing. It's like, yeah, I didn't feel comfortable till almost at the end of year 2. Like it was such a complex defense. And he talked about it. He's like, yeah, it's really weird because you have to read and react. And I never did that in college. It's really hard. And he admitted like publicly he struggled. And then the Bob Sutton defense, it was completely different. And it was more attack. But he completely changed his body. Completely changed his body. And if Broderick Martin does the same thing, I could see the same type of impact. You're gonna have a lot of starters walk, and you're gonna have some holdouts. It's going to be a weird offseason for you. I'm warning you now. I'm sure. I'm sorry, he's not an earth mover. He's not blocking like Meyer out of the tight end who I actually had. So it's kind of weird. Like Meyer was my number 1 tight end unless you're in a pass heavy offense, like the Bills. The way the Bills are using Dalton Kincaid, then Kincaid's number 1. If a team like the Chiefs, that uses Travis Kelce just as a big receiver, then yeah. But are you going to tell me he's the guy that you want in a 3-point stance blocking defensive ends? Come on, man. Come on, guys. McNeil also took up martial arts to work on his hands. That's martial arts. I'm wearing a Krav Maga shirt underneath here. Martial arts, wrestling. Those are all great things to do. So Laporta is what Lions. Yeah. And by the way, Hawkinson's having a really good season in Minnesota. It's kind of a win-win for both teams. You got some extra draft capital, and you end up getting your guy in Laporta. Minnesota has a tight end who's playing really, really well. And Hawkinson got that big contract. He's making, was it 16? He's making $3 million. I think $2 million more than Kelsey. So yeah. Dan, I'd say he's a plus blocker, not elite, but a plus blocker. And yes, he's blocked. I'm sure he's had plays where he's blocked. Yeah, I don't know if I would go that far. Now, keep in mind, there's Chiefs fans that say the same exact thing about Travis Kelce. And I'm like, slow up. And here's the drill. I'm not saying he doesn't. And I've seen clips Um, he's designed to be a big receiver, just like Travis Kelce. And there's a reason the Lions gave him 87, and you don't want to use him as a blocker. That's why this offseason you're going to get a new offensive coordinator most likely. Okay. How is the offense going to change? Are you going to ask him to block more? Are you going to ask him to split out more? It's going to be interesting because one thing that the Chiefs wisely did is like they looked at Kelce and they're like, let's get you off that line of scrimmage. And there's Chiefs fans that swear up and down, oh, he's a great blocker. He's not. Has Jackson missed a lot of games because of injuries? I know he's missed some. And it's going to be, I'm warning you, it's going to be a weird offseason. I did my time. Yeah. And I did Krav Maga. Actually, I'd love to go back and do Krav Maga more. That's one thing I'd love to do more. But like, if you're an NFL player, Krav Maga, Muay Thai, there's probably a few others. I think yoga is really good for NFL players. There's been kind of a surplus of NFL players doing yoga. A lot of NFL players swear by it. I actually took, I had a Groupon, and I did some yoga. I actually really enjoyed it. It was just kind of weird because it was like, I was like one class, I was the only dude, and I'm super inflexible. So like she did this exercise and everybody else could do it easily. I couldn't do it. So she had to bring over like some extra pads for me. And yeah, I mean, I couldn't, nobody laughed but I could feel it. Like, they're like, what the fuck's he doing here? Cause I'm like this far away from touching my toes. Like, I'm super inflexible. But I'd love to go back to Krav Maga, and I'd also like to do yoga, but I'm not a professional athlete, but if I had the time, I would do both, time and money. We might have to invest in some draft capital in the offensive line this year. So we're going to talk about this during draft time, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Lions trade out of round one completely and really try to build up, because you're gonna be surprised at how many players you lose. And yeah, I know you're not. Yeah. I by the way, Funk, if you feel like I accused you of being a homer, or I love Slappy. Slappy's even better than Homer. That's not what I'm saying. It's just that, I mean, there's Lion fans out there. Oh, he's a great blocker. Look at this one time. And you know what the thing is like the clip that I was watching, it wasn't a great block. He just stayed with the defensive end. To be honest with you, it was kind of mediocre. And it was something on social media. I would share it with you, but I was like, come on, man. I thought he missed more than that. That's actually not bad. I think we'll have over 100 million in cap space this year. Wow. Aikido and sumo. I don't think sumo wrestling is really beneficial. Aikido I'm not familiar with, but wrestling, I wrestled for, actually I could have gotten a scholarship wrestling. It's just I didn't. In the 90s, you lost crazy amounts of weight. Like, I played football with a guy who played football at 180. He wrestled, like, week one was 152, and then he finally got down to 145. A guy, he went to MU. He played football at 200, 210, and like he wrestled at 171 at first, and they finally got back down to 160. He was like a two or three time state champion. He went to Missouri, and I heard at Missouri he like went even further down. I heard he was like trying to do like 145, and the other guy I was telling you about 145. I heard he's trying to wrestle at 130, and this dude's like 5'10" or 6 foot, taller than me. I'm 5'8", I'm short. But in the 90s, people lost an insane amount. This is high school in the Midwest, like Dowling, Iowa, where Iowa, like wrestlers would lose insane. It was crazy what they did in Iowa. But like I got out of wrestling because my number one love was football. And my natural weight was like 125. 125. Somewhere between 120 and 125, and I wrestled at 112. But yeah, if I got down to 103, I probably could have got a scholarship. But My dad's 6 foot. I'm 5'8". I firmly believe that losing all that weight while in high school, because every year before that, I lost all that weight. I was growing 3 inches and putting on 15 pounds. And then after I lost that weight, because it was a couple months, it was hard to keep that weight off. It was really hard, So they changed the rules. Like you have to have like a certain amount of body fat on you. It's even true in college, but like you can't wrestle in high school and come in at like 180 and wrestle at 150 anymore. They don't allow that. I believe Laporta is an upgrade over Hawk. Hawk isn't known for breaking tackles, and I don't know. You know what? I have to defer to you because I don't watch it. All I know is he blocks really well for the Vikings. He's a much better blocker for the Vikings than Laporta is for the Lions. So I would disagree with that. But you watch him. I've seen him be an excellent blocker. I think he's a pure 3-down tight end, where Laporta and Kelsey are more just big receivers. But I don't think Hawk is a terrible blocker. And he breaks tackles at Minnesota. I guess he's a different player. I think he's one of the better tight ends in football, but I'd rather have Laporta. But keep in mind, in Kansas City, I got Kelsey. He's just a big receiver. That's not Holmes' MO. He trades up for player. Well, so John Dorsey, who's not – I had a Lions fan get nasty with me because I called him the assistant. He's not really the assistant, but that was the old Ron Wolf style where you trade down and stockpile draft picks. Here's the drill. You did trade down. Remember, you had the 6th pick in the draft, and you traded down. Remember, you traded down this last draft with Arizona. Then you got aggressive and traded back up. I think this year your plan's going to be a lot different than it has in the past. And I keep saying this, it's going to be a weird off season for you guys. It's going to be different. And that's why I think that you could trade down and try to add like 10 to 14 players. And you might need to have 10 to 14 players on that roster. And when I say 10 to 14 players, I'm talking about picks in the 4th, 5th, and 6th round. So anymore. Yeah, it can. It's kind of funny. I did. It was funny because now there was a husband and wife. He was like 300 pounds. He was like 6'6", like 300, and she was like, they're great. Gray hair. 5 foot 110. And I remember we did like our test out, and she gave me a bloody lip. But I remember when they first came in, he was huge. And as we were training, he went from 300 to 230, and they attended like it's a different way. I'm babbling now, but they went every single day. She was actually teaching the women's class, and he lost like 70 pounds in a couple of years. And they're I'd never asked, but like over 50. So Mies Holmes' biggest con is he doesn't let the draft come to him. Perry's very aggressive when it comes to the draft, and that's when he usually gets aggressive. 73 million and only like 30. Yeah, it's going to be a weird off season for you guys. You haven't experienced anything like this before. So far, he's been more consistent than Hawkinson. In my opinion, he's a B- blocker, not an A+ blocker. Sumo for offensive linemen, so you are pushing people around. It's perfect for linemen. Aikido is all about hand speed. I get that, but I really think that there's so much hand technique that's involved. So I don't know. I don't know enough about sumo wrestling, but I don't think it is because there's so much hand fighting that goes on the offensive line, but I've never really done it. So I don't think it is, but I'm not going to say no. I don't know too much about Aikido either, but anything with hand movement, because that's one thing about being in the NFL is that usually in college, guys have like 1, maybe 2 moves. And in the NFL, you have to have at least 3. I know Aaron Donald's famous for having like 3 or 4 go-to moves. You have the swim, you have, the swim, you have, the pull, you have the twist. I think Aaron Donald can do all 3 of those like equally as well. And that's something you got to learn. So maybe I don't think it is, but I don't know. I think judo would be, I think any martial arts would be good. I do believe the Spoon was there at 6. He's a Lion. I don't know, man. I really don't know because um the trade you made with Arizona made a lot of sense for both teams. Now Arizona fell in love with the left tackle out of Ohio State, Paris Johnson Jr. I forgot. I don't think he's been dominant, but I think he's been solid. But I think I know Arizona was really, really high on him. I thought when they made the trade, I thought it was a win for Detroit. So I don't know. I don't know. That's interesting. I think we should trade Decker for picks while he's still got value to a contender. Decker is close to 30 and his injuries are happening more. Perry, we are a contender. Agreed. This offseason, it wouldn't surprise me if you moved Decker. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Judo would work, but to me, it's much about using your body to move people from me. In college, it's like that. In the NFL, it's a lot more hand fighting. It's a lot more hand fighting, and it's also footwork. Footwork is so key. A lot of college guys, especially offensive linemen. I don't know if you remember Cody Mock out in North Dakota State. Like he was just bigger and stronger and faster than everybody. He was a left tackle. Tampa Bay moved him inside the guard, but like he was just so big, like he could like bench press people. But at the Senior Bowl, he showed good technique. So that's why that's why I think the SEC has the best lineman or is the best college football because their linemen you have offensive versus defensive. A lot of times, like you're just bigger, stronger, and faster. In other conferences, but. If you did this, the plan would be to move Sewell over to the left side, I think, and you maybe draft somebody. This draft is loaded with tackles, so if you didn't trade out of the first round, maybe you trade for a right tackle. There is a possibility if you find a tackle that you like, and you're not going to go huge, but you're not going to trade up like in the top 10. But if somebody that you really, really like. Maybe trade up and maybe plug and play him on the left side. I don't know how I'd feel about that, but it's a possibility. I know, but I think we need to get younger on O-line. We've had a lot of injuries on the line this year. One of the most brutal arts is Muay Thai. I've never done Muay Thai. It's something I want to do. I really don't. I don't know anything about sumo wrestling. All I know is that it's a circle and you're trying to move guys. I don't know too much about the technique involved. So like, I'm not saying you're wrong. It's just, I don't know too much about it. I just know hand fighting and placement is so key in footwork. And it's so much about technique in the NFL. In college, you can just be big, strong, just move people. So I haven't watched too much of him, to be honest. I know that they had him head and shoulders as the number one left tackle. I didn't think there was really too much of a difference between him and Broderick Jones. There was another tackle that I'm trying to think of who it was. Maybe I'm wrong, but I have to give you the weenie answer in that I want to see. I do know this is that Broderick Jones hasn't started and then he earned a spot on the right side, and I don't get why because like he looks. Like I don't know why he's not starting left tackle. I can tell you that. I don't know enough about his season with the Cardinals to give you an honest answer. I do know this that they were really, really, really high on him, and they had him. There was a lot of people that had him as the number one left tackle. I didn't think that he was like, Skornonski. I'm sorry, Skornonski, who Tennessee's putting at guard, and the answer is maybe move him to the tackle. I actually tell you the truth, I would take him Skornonski instead. Skornonski, yeah, but I have to give you the weenie answer. I don't know. I really don't. Same thing, Krav Maga. That's my favorite move. The elbow is if I don't know anything about my time. I know Krav Maga. My favorite move is the elbow, and that's one that you constantly if you ever need if you're involved in any sort of altercation and things get physical, which I would never recommend. Grab somebody, Just elbow in the nose. The best thing you can do. Elbow in the nose. But then again, I like the Bama tackle. Yeah, there's the Bama tackle. There's John Alt. Is it John Alt? John Alt Jr. And Fassanu out of Penn State. And I've been seeing Fassanu and Alt consistently in the top 5 in mock drafts. The Bama tackle's been consistently in the first round as well. I saw one mock draft with 7 tackles in the first round, and I don't see that at all. But those 3 guys are going in the first round. You may be able to trade up and get that Bama tackle because he might be able to slide down to like 18, 19. Yeah. We need a DT or a DN. Yeah, you need some guys, but here's the deal, because there's a lot of quarterbacks, there's a lot of receivers, and you don't need that. So there's going to be some players that fall in this draft, and I think that you can get a defensive tackle and a defensive end later than you may think. You may be able to get like a second or third round player who could play really, really well. You may not. I think in this draft, you're, instead of taking a 3rd round pick like Broderick Martin, who's a project, you're probably taking a 3rd round pick that you feel can play. That's the difference. I'm not moving Decker. The Lions are going to need talking's hard. I'm not moving Decker. The Lions are going to need at least a guard and possibly a center. I don't think it's smart to tear down a whole line in one offseason. I know the Chiefs did it, but the Chiefs' offensive line was a disaster. It wouldn't surprise me if you draft multiple offensive linemen, but maybe you do it later in the draft, like you draft some 4th, 5th round picks. I mean, don't forget, I'm sorry. You know what? We were talking about this earlier. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Puka Nota, who had it wrapped up until Stroud just started blowing up. That was a 5th round pick. I feel bad forgetting him. Do you feel Ragnu is too beat up and getting too injury prone? You guys have to answer that. I like Ragnu a lot. I remember Billy Price came out of Ohio State, and I love that guy. And he was the Remington Award winner. He played at Ohio State, and the Lions drafted Ragnow instead. And I'm like, what? I didn't have near the grade on him. And Billy Price, I don't even think he's in the NFL anymore. I mean, matter of fact, he got benched, and then he's been on a couple different. It was just a disaster. And I watched him at Ohio State, and I'm like, oh, this guy's going to be a monster. Oh, this is smart. You know, take the Ohio State kid, not the Arkansas kid. Yeah, what the fuck do I know? My tie literally cuts. If you, I'm going to take a class one of these days. I really am, or at least look up some. I haven't yet. I do want to get back into Krav Maga. The teacher that I went to, I still follow him on social media. Some of the guys that were in the class are now advanced up to teachers. One guy used to box like ever since he was 15. He used to throw these lightning fast punches, and he was a big dude. And I was like, I don't know how he did that. And he goes, dude, I've been doing it since I was 16. So real good guy. And now he's like a teacher. I remember his first day there. Like I got there early. We started talking and stuff. Real good guy. We're Facebook friends. I wouldn't call them friends. Like, if we ran into him, be like, hey, do the white guy. Hey, what's up? Good guy, though. I don't see Jonah will be here next year. Interior offensive line class is loaded. Perry's been playing on a bum foot for 2 seasons now. He has an inoperable big toe injury, something like the meat on the ball of his foot's not connected. He might just have to retire. Ooh, that is bad. We could have had Andrew Vorthy in the 5th or 6th round instead of Martin pick. Yeah, that's a guy, if you're not familiar, would have been a 1st or 2nd round pick. Tore his ACL at his pro day, if I remember right. I don't remember if it was pro day or combine. And the Ravens got him in the 6th round. This is something the Ravens love to do, is they did the same thing with David Ojabo a couple years ago. However, Ojabo hasn't panned out. Vorthy's, I think it's Vorthy's, maybe Vorthy, but he'll probably be a starting right tackle for the Ravens next year. It's good draft pick. Ravens draft is phenomenal. Yeah. If Martin ends up being like Don Terry Poe was, you're going to be very happy. Guys, I'm going to wrap up. I'm starting to lose it here. I encourage everybody to tune in on Tuesday. One Pride's going to join. I got TPT, Toss Power Trap. I'm not sure what name he's going to go by, but he has a YouTube channel, Toss Power Trap. He's going to join. I got Keys. He's going to join. He's not in the chat today. They're shopping. Him and his wife are shopping for matching pink Taylor Swift glitter tank tops. So, shout out to Keys, my boy. He's going to be on Tuesday. So, yeah, it's going to be a great show. So it's going to be a foursome on Tuesday. Real quick, Heisman Trophy. Jaden, I keep calling him the wrong name, and it's embarrassing because I can't wait till the draft comes out. But Jaden Daniels, LSU quarterback, he's going to win. It probably won't even be close. I'm going to stand by it if I voted. If I voted to be Marvin Harrison, I don't get it, and I can't wait to get into the draft. But I mean, we still got a couple weeks of. And we still got 4 weeks of really good regular season games. It's been a great NFL season. So, but you guys know that this is going to be Draft Central in a couple months. It's going to be Draft Central, and I can't wait. It's going to be fun. I agreed, but Perry, you need to check out this off. I have not done that yet. Boston College is a really good guard, Michigan too, but he got hurt. I have not, but we'll get into it. This is going to be Draft Central in a couple months. But, I mean, we still got a month of really great regular season games. We're going to have a really fantastic playoffs. I have not reached out to Riley yet, but he said he'd come on after season's over, go over all his picks. I know several of you are going to want to put action on the Lions once they make the playoffs. He's going to have some really good advice. I encourage you to listen to him. I haven't confirmed that he is when he's going to come on, but he has agreed. So I have a Black Monday show. So I'll be on Monday after the season's over. I have a Black Monday show. I have my standard show on Tuesday, and I'll be on Friday. And tune in Tuesday as I'll have a foursome. Also, it's not ready yet. I'll have the stream set up. Bills, Chiefs, right here. Tune in. Hit the mute on the TV. Listen to me do play-by-play. I really appreciate all the great comments. Guys, have a great weekend, and I hope to see you all back. Hopefully Sunday for Chiefs Bills. All you Lions fans, watch you guys win and then come in and gloat. I really want to hear it. So, guys, hopefully I see everybody back Sunday.